I'll be responding to Iamara's claim that embryonic stem cells harm embryos and can produce tumors, therefore they can actually harm a person instead of helping them. So her four supporting claims were: 1, in order to create an embryonic stem cell, an embryo must die. 2, there is no need to use embryos when there are other alternatives. 3, embryonic stem cells may cause tumors. And 4, it takes up a lot of money that could be used for other priorities. So her first supporting claim was, in order to create an embryonic stem cell, an embryo must die. This is more of a value claim, and it was supposed to be a claim of fact speech. So then here we're talking about the ethics of obtaining embryonic stem cells. And in her first supporting point, she states that an embryo can be conceived through in vitro fertilization, which is where it is made in a laboratory or through the donation of an aborted baby. And I'm going to zero in on the word donation that she used. The word choice here is bad because it weakens her argument, since she is arguing how stem cell research results in the killing of an embryo. And if it's donated, how is that a bad thing? And she talks about how the cells are taken from an embryo 3 to 5 days after conception, which causes the destruction of the embryo and that it causes public uncertainty. And those sources are cited anywhere throughout the whole first claim. So there's not really a sufficient amount of evidence to fully back up that supporting claim. And so she may believe that the killing of the embryo is wrong, but then the process of deriving stem cells from an aborted fetus does not constitute the sacrifice of one human being for another. And in an article that I found on human embryonic stem cell research from McMurray College, the aborted fetuses are a result of the mother's choice to electively abort her fetus. So there's not really any connection to the research process at all. And in a 2008 article on the ethics of stem cell research from Stanford University, while each cell is alive, they only become part of the human organism when there is substantial cell differentiation and coordination. And this occurs around the 16th day after fertilization. So thus taking the cells of the day 5 embryo to get embryonic stem cells does not entail the destruction of a human being. So her second supporting claim, there is no need to use embryos when there are other alternatives. And I'm just going to focus on the alternative that she used on adult stem cells. And she defines that adult stem cells are, or she defines what they are, and then she says that they are taken from the blood or organs of healthy adults. But she does not provide really any evidence to show how adult stem cells are a better alternative than embryos. And then in trying to make her first point about adult stem cells being a better alternative, she also seems to contradict herself by stating a problem with adult stem cells. She states, the only problem with these cells is that they do not seem to grow as quickly as embryonic stem cells, so that if someone is sick or ill, the cells will take longer to grow. So then she makes her own argument weaker by providing what is like a counter argument to her own evidence, kind of. And then her third supporting claim, embryonic stem cells may cause tumors. Her major claim being that embryonic stem cells harm embryos and can produce tumors. One would think that her main focus would be on the killing of embryos and causing of tumors. But instead, she talks about it as her second to last supporting claim. So the organization of claims could have been in a better order to strengthen her argument and get to the point, so that the audience doesn't have to wait that long to hear about what she said in her main claim. And the evidence isn't as strong because she quotes that mice treated for Parkinson's with embryonic stem cells have died from brain tumors in as much as 20% of cases. Well, this means that less than or equal to 20% of mice die from brain tumors, and then greater than or equal to 80% survive. So, and in her fourth claim, it takes up a lot of money that could be used for other priorities. No statistical data of how much money is actually used in her supporting points for stem cell research, and therefore we don't know how much is a lot. And in one of the points she states, in 2001, former President Bush ordered that tax dollars could be used for studies. The phrase could be used means that it's a possibility, not that tax dollars will be used for stem cell research. And in a global stem cell research map that I found from the San Diego Tribune, it says that only 4 to 6% has been directed towards human embryonic stem cell research each year. So, to conclude, the evidence she used and the wording that she used weakened her argument. There wasn't really a sufficient amount of evidence used to back up her claim. And with the evidence I've given to refute her claims, I feel that stem cell research does not harm embryos, nor is it harmful to the people.
All right, you've got a simple structure to follow. You label those points. That's pretty good. You've got a challenge on the first point on the value argument. I think that's okay. I think your donation argument there is okay, but it's not as clear as it should be. I thought the better argument that you came up with was your own explanation about what creates a legitimate organization or an organism, and that creates a value criteria that you can use, and you've got some evidence on that particular point, so I think that's a stronger argument. Signposting on the second point was also clear. You've got a general challenge to the lack of evidence. You don't always explain what the claim was that she made and what kind of evidence is missing there. The time issue, that's an interesting contradiction that you point out. I'm not exactly sure that it's all that convincing, but it's an attempt to try and use some reasoning on that particular point. On your third point, it sounds like you're starting to make a critique instead of an argument. You're assessing the quality of the way she argued as opposed to making a claim about that argument or challenging that particular claim, and I don't think you want to get caught up in doing that. The analysis of the failure rate is kind of a superficial way of looking at it, 20%, 80%. If the stem cells have 20% problems with them, that means that that's not 20% of the stem cells. Like if we implanted them in patients, that doesn't mean 20% of the patients will have a problem. That means 20% of the stem cells that get implanted into people might have problems with them. So if I get 100,000 stem cells implanted in me to fix some kind of problem, then I've got 20,000 of them who are, that are potentially problematic, and I'm not exactly sure that that really advances your claim on that point. All right. And you had a legitimate press on costs at the end. It was okay. Thank you.